Hello everybody, so I'm working on this antique BSA, I believe it is, brake barrel spring piston air gun. I'll show you the gun later, but its old leather seal had disintegrated, so I'm making a conical shaped piece that'll fit through this seal I found in my collection and screw onto the piston. So I cut the angle with just a carbide cutter set on an angle, and I found that angle by casting a little Bondo shape here from the piston. I just filled some Bondo in the piston and then held that up on the end of the rod and then lined the cutter up with the side of my little Bondo piece, and I think that's a good enough angle to hold the seal on. Doesn't have to be something perfect, and although actually I think it is perfect. And then I drilled through at the clearance size number 10. Oh yeah, I'm going to upsize. The original screw was 4mm. It did not survive. And of course the factory thread was some unobtainium tiny thread, so I'm upsizing to the more standard screw of a 5mm, and it's kind of funny, it cost me $1 for the screw and $10 for the taps to make the hole, and then now I'm cutting the countersink in. And so actually, now that I've been talking to you, I forgot where I'm at. Oops, wrong thing. So let me see here. I drilled it deep enough I get this screw in there. Yep, just a little bit more. It's still a little bit proud. Yeah, that seems recessed. I'm going to go just a tiny bit more. That seems recessed though. Oh yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to use the cutoff tool, the parting tool. I guess it's the same thing. Yep, I'll turn the camera back on here in a minute. Yep, I sliced that off with the blade, a little bit of rubbing on some sandpaper. It's a snug fit. It may be too big, but I'm going to go ahead and get it screwed onto the piston and see how it is. So to do that, we've got our number 19 drill bit in here, and I'm going to check the depth, and I'm going to drill a hole, and I'll be right back. Okay, found the tap handle I like, and I'm not going to be too fancy. I'm just going to use the drill bit as my center liner. I do have a better tool for this task, but I think this is going to be just fine. Indeed it is. Let me get my center liner out. And a little bit, clean, lubricate, a little bit, remove, clean, lubricate. I'll be back. So this actually cost me the price of 2 taps because I just ground one down to create a bottoming tap. So we get those last few threads at the bottom of the hole. Yep, see, that's quite a few you get by doing that. There we go. So, I don't know if that's worth an extra $5 to you, but it works for me. Although, actually, I ground down the one that I used to start with, but I did buy 2 because I do want to have a taper, a plug tap, or whatever it is, and a bottoming tap in the collection. So there we go. I should probably do one more clearing. Gotta make sure to stay out of view of the camera, as I am out here. It must be about 100 in the shop. The sweat is pouring off of my half-naked body. I guess you could call me the naked machinist. That is probably not OSHA approved safety clothing. Alright, half naked. That's a little overstatement. Just shirtless. Alrighty, let me take this knuckle killer out. Oops. wrong check key. Oh, maybe you didn't see that. I grabbed the lathe shut key. So, I might have to cut the screw down. I don't know. Let me go get an Allen. I'll be right back. Okay, so I had to shorten the screw a four times, and I had thought at the hardware store of getting a nut to clear the threads when I cut it short, but then it went out of my mind. But actually it didn't give me any trouble. Just ground it down and it was able to fit. So now I'm going to go try it in the compression chamber and see if the seal is going to work out. This aluminum conical thing is just a little bit too big, so it does express, not bulge so much, but it does have a little, I see a little bit of expression here on the rubber of the seal. I think that's actually just fine. Just a little bit, it's better than being loose. Personally, I think it looks great. I think it's a good job. So we'll see if it fits in the gun. Okay, hello everybody, here we are another morning and at a different workbench with this BSA air rifle, Birmingham Arms Company. Only a few minutes Googling. I'm sure the owner of this could chime in on the comments on exactly what its pedigree is, but I found some ads online for guns similar but not exactly like this, like 1911. And it's pretty amazing the level of fit and finish and capability they had in 1911. For example, excuse me for getting in the way of your view, look at the buttstock and this metal butt plate and the complex smooth curves. I mean, did they hammer each one of these? And were they all identical, as in was this shape duplicated, or whereas each one of these hand worked and a little bit custom, such that one metal plate wouldn't fit one gun to another? But it just seems like really fine workmanship. And then you look at the stock itself, and again, the smooth shape and the tiny sharp detail here, and then this part machine duplicated. I mean, that is phenomenal. It looks CNC'd. Anyway, moving along here. So last night we finished making this piston seal attachment piece. Super happy about how that came out. Last night I was tripping thinking it was a little too tight and like maybe the material is a little expressed. I don't believe so at all now in the light of day. Yeah, it was a little tight, but I think it's actually perfectly so. I think it came out great. So next is, it'd be nice to stick it in the compression cylinder and see how it fits. I don't even know if that's going to be the right seal or not. It was just an experiment. But the inside of the compression tube is got a lot of dirt, or not really corrosion so much as I guess it is. I think it's just dirt and grease that's congealed and become like rock hard inside without it being rust or corrosion. I don't think so, not yet anyway. So I'm using 320 right now. And in the areas of the compression part that are pretty clean and look polished, I don't see that I'm laying down any scratches at all in that area with what I'm doing. So 320 is kind of a little bit coarse for a compression tube. I don't want to give myself a lot of work at 500 wet dry. And I don't really have the right kind of, multi-$1,000 cylinder honing tools that super pros would have. But frankly, for the kind of guns I've ever worked on, the method I use seems to be entirely adequate. So what I'm doing is I'm using a piece of 14 mil Mylar. This is material I use for vacuum bagging and for forming cheek pieces on masters and just all kind of variety of tasks. It's mainly intended though in the composites industry for vacuum bagging, but I use that as a backer on sandpaper. Slot the end of a dowel. Can you see? Yep, there's a slot on the bandsaw, and stick this in there and then wind it up. It's a little bit difficult, although it's not super stiff. That's why there's no scratches being laid down in the polished areas. There's really just enough force on this to be able to take off all the crud that has accumulated in the largely non-compression area. So I just want to get that cleaned up before we push the new seal in. And oh, there's a couple other things I want to mention. Let me just take my time here. So I had to make a, well, I don't know if I had to. I chose to make a custom spring removal tool because the end that comes out under spring preload has this angle. So to put my spring compressor on that, it just seemed hazardous. So I sort of roughly cut a block of wood that about fit the angle, and then I glass bedded it to fit with the bolt going through. You can see the crazy angle the bolt came through at for the buttstock, and use that to remove it. Now, of course, after the fact, there's very little preload because I didn't know this thing was going to unscrew so far, right? I mean, all these mysteries you don't know. There's no YouTube videos of anybody working on one of these guns, not that I could find. So, you know, I just wanted to make sure the thing didn't go shooting across the rim. There was just a tiny little bit of pop when it came out that I probably could have controlled, and I think on reassembly I won't need the spring compressor. But anyway, it was kind of a fun little extra project just to make sure we were safe. What else is there to tell? Oh, so the original leather seal left caked in dust, which actually I left a pile of it here to show you, but then I forgot and wiped it off. But I used one of these down inside the compression tube to turn around at the bottom of the hole and clean up all the dried leather powder that was left down there. I ran an oiled brass brush through the bore, and it looks really clean. Now, before the brush, you could hardly see through it. It was just like a lot of gunk, and not gunk. It was just, you know, crapped out old. But what does that mean? Dirt, dust. I don't know what collects in there. Congeals with oil from 50 years ago. Well, anyway, I ran a brush through there a few times, and the bore looks really nice and clean. It is a rifled bore. It does shoot round ball. Oh, I thought of something else. So the front sight is well staked in, and it doesn't move at all. The was loose in its hole. I think it goes like that. I have the correct modern gunsmithing fix for this, and we'll get into that at the proper time. But the rear sight's missing, and we'll find out from the client. He can comment below, or my guess is I'll hear on a text faster than that if he has the rear sight. I'm kind of hoping not. It'd be a fun little detail project to fabricate a rear sight for it. Okay, that's it for now. I'll turn the camera back on in a bit. Well, let's see if it fits in there. Well, tilt you down a little bit. I did try a couple of experiments with some shim material to make a weigh engager. Turn it around, no damage. Just a visual inspection there. Get that guy pushed on down in there. Oh, it feels really good so far. Okay, well I gotta lube up the spring, get it together, see if it cocks. Oh boy. Alright, so I'm lubing the spring with, if I can get that in the camera shot there. This is Lucas Red and Tacky. I like how it leaves nice little strings of grease in between the coils. Being a fairly stiff grease, it helps deaden a little bit of spring twang. Yep, see, I don't need to use any of that girly hand cream. Do this every day, my hands will be smooth as a baby. Or probably more likely cancer ridden from all the chemistry. Just kidding. Be careful the messages you send out into the world, right? Didn't check if one end fit better than the other. They should be identical. This end has a little kink in it. No, I think I liked it the other way better. Uh-oh. Oh yeah, I like it this way better. Awesome. Let's see. If this were a brake barrel. Oh, in fact, I referred to this as a brake barrel earlier when I was at the lathe. It's not a brake barrel, it's an underlever. To go in there if I can find it with some text over. So let's see, if it was a brake barrel, we would need to get this installed early on, but let's see, let's just see how this fits together. Yeah, I think we can have this put together and get the cocking lever put on with it assembled. Oh, moved it too far. Okay, it's going to fit. Alrighty. Mm-hmm. Can we do it without a compressor? Maybe not. Ooh, we got it. I should put a little oil on the threads to begin with, but I'll just drip some in there and just for future rust prevention. There we go. That's nice and wet. That keeps going. Oh, there we go. Alrighty. That looks great. Okay, I'm going to pay attention to some details about the cocking lever. Oh, which, by the way, I wanted to point out, just, 1911, we don't make stuff as good as this today, or if we do, it's very expensive. So, instead of a pin, it's a screw, and then it's captured by another little screw to prevent it from coming undone. Nice little feature. We see that on firearms too. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so we got it back together again, and it's a beautiful job, except that the gun won't latch up when you cock it, and it's as if the piston is not being pulled back far enough. It's pushing on the trigger, it's getting to where it wants to engage this very basic sear, but it doesn't quite get there. And I'm thinking it's because this, I don't know if you can see, let me get in front of here. Yep, see how the leading edge of that looks like it's tilted, wore out. And I think if this were built up a little bit and a little more vertical, we might get that last little nth we need in order to get the piston to lock up. So now we got a little welding job to do. Build this up with a little bit of material, reshape it. I can see where it's got a groove wore into it. It's got a little sharp piece of metal that's been pushed out. So I think this guy is just beat up, wore out, and pushed back. And so we'll build it up and reshape it and see if we can get this gun to cock. So that's as far as this project's going to go for a little bit. I need to install a 50 amp breaker for the welder. I'm still moving into the shop 4 years later. In order to do that, I got to install a whole new electrical panel because there's not enough room in this one. So I have to tap my a friend of mine who also has some welding capability, and just get a little tiny bit of material on there. And so I'll check back in when this project has something more to report on it.